Good evening. It is Thursday, October 20th, 2022, and coming to you from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington, this is the Best Slam Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
Hey, they're on it today.
Sometimes they are.
It was the free
Sometimes
beer.
they can be trusted.
It was the free beer. They'll clap for anything now.
Yeah, it's true.
We're on YouTube, but we're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show, and you can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com. And please check out our webpage. You can find links to the past shows and the current trivia question on www.lambsports.com. And that's Lamb with two M's, by the way. LA, and not, okay, so that brings me to a whole thing.
Okay.
When someone's taking your name, like at a restaurant or whatever, I mean, normally it's a first name thing, but I mean, occasionally I will say my whole name or whatever, right? Just because David's a common name and I don't want that to be a thing.
Sure.
And so I've literally said before, it's Lamb with two M's. And I've literally had people write LAMMB.
Yes.
I don't know.
Happen a lot.
Have you ever seen anybody with that name? Why would you write that? But I mean, I guess since I didn't clarify, it's on me, right?
I was just going to say that. I was like, it seems stupid, and yet you can't really blame them for it. They didn't do anything wrong.
I guess not. It's just funny to watch. I see it written down. I'm like, I did tell you two M's. It's my fault. All right.
This must be me.
Right. It must be me. It's got to be something stupid. Let's do the range commercial first before we get too far into the world. Just because let's get it out of the way. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So the first part of our show is brought to you by The Range. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Slam Sports Show. That's The Range. Educate, equip, and empower. So, things we got to talk about. The NBA just started. Portland Trailblazers played last night. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about how it's kind of chaotic in the NFL still. I don't understand. Normally by 6 games in, I have a good feel for things. And I still don't. I don't know about you.
Sure.
Okay. We're talking about the Major League Baseball in the League Championship Series game going on right now. If you're watching over there on TBS, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But both series underway is Game 2 tonight of the ALCS. We're going to talk about Formula One, and they're in Austin this week, Austin, Texas, for the American Grand Prix. I don't know why they get to be the American Grand Prix and not the Miami one or the coming Las Vegas one, but hey, whatever. And then the U.S. Sorry, it's the U.S. Grand Prix. It's not American. It's the U.S. Grand Prix. I got it wrong. And we're also going to talk about some cost cap, that F1 cost cap fiasco thing that we got to talk about. NFL, NCAA, we got the Seattle Kraken. We got lots of stuff to talk about. So anyway, let's go do it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was too. Trailblazers started off the season on a good note with a 115-108 win at Sacramento. Jeremy Grant led Portland with 23 points, 8 rebounds. Damian Lillard scored 20, had 8 assists despite shooting just 1 of 8 from three-point land. The Kings' De'Aaron Fox led all scorers with 33 points, and he added 7 rebounds and 7 assists. That's a pretty good night.
It's really not bad.
Yeah, pretty evenly matched as far as the team numbers go when you look at the numbers overall for the game. But the Blazers got to the free throw line a little more. And they made the most of those when they needed it. They were 7 of 7 from the line in the fourth quarter. Anthony Simons, 22 points. Josh Hart with 19, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. And rookie Shaedon Sharpe added 12 off the bench for Portland. That was a really good first win on the road. It took Portland 7 games last year to get their first road win. 7 road games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they only won 10
right.
all last year, 10 road games. So I think they're better now already. But I mean, it's one game. It's hard to tell. But I think it was a good team effort. A lot of guys scored, even when, Dame's not hitting 3-pointers, and neither was Simons. He was 3 of 10 from 3-point land. I think the two combined were like 4 of 18.
Yeah.
But the rest of the team picked them up, and they looked good.
I thought they looked pretty good, especially once they benched Nurk. Midway through the game, the Nurk stopped being the primary center, and Drew Eubanks started becoming the primary center.
Yeah,
and that was the best thing they ever did.
They went small, and I think that helps a lot. I think that's kind of the way everything's going anymore. I mean, I really feel like there's a few exceptions. There's a few big guys, but I think the NBA is just a smaller man's, not small. I mean, it's not small by any stretch, but when you go from a 7-footer to a 6'9" guy or a 6'10" guy, you're downgrading a little. And if they're a little more active and a little more mobile, I think that helps a lot. But
yeah, Drew Eubanks is 6'9", and Nurkic is 6'11".
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a little bit of a drop off there. But I don't know. Nurk isn't cutting it.
Yeah.
I mean, he just doesn't quite get done what you need him to do on a night-to-night basis. I mean, I think that he needs more time off the bench, and I think that we need to play a little smaller.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that smaller, faster would suit them better than a traditional slow down post up game. But when you get that way and you get a small team, the other team tries to slow the game down in general.
It's true.
But Portland scored more points in the paint. They out-rebounded Sacramento just by 3, but still, they limited the turnovers. Only 11 turnovers in the game. That's probably a huge one, and the fact that the foul calls were not even doesn't hurt, for sure. For sure. Jeremy Grant was 10 of 13 from the free throw line. So if you're getting to the free throw line 13 times in a game, you're doing something right.
Yeah, he had a really good night. I thought he looked really good for him.
Yeah. There's a lot of good talent there. It's just a matter of can they be good consistently, and we've seen them enough to know that you can't judge anything from the one game, but it was good to see multiple guys in double digits and not just Dame with 40 and the rest of them with nothing. And yeah, even if Nurkic didn't even play very well, they still win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of good things. I'm going to take it as a positive at this point.
I thought it was very, very, very refreshing to see him go get a win on the road. But it is the Kings. The Kings are mismanaged like crazy. They've got a couple really good things and a couple not great things. And it was a comeback win still.
Yeah.
We were struggling for the majority of the game.
Yeah. And so tomorrow night they play Phoenix at home at the Moda Center. That'll be a better test.
Yeah.
Of how good they are.
The one thing I have not seen yet is Chauncey Billups is supposed to be a defensive coach. I mean, I didn't see it in the summer league, and I didn't even know. I know that he's not coaching that team, but it's his scheme through his assistants. I didn't see it in the summer league, didn't see it in the preseason, didn't see it last night. We do not look like a defensively sound team.
Well, yeah, and the part of the problem is I think you have to have really, really good defensive players. I'm not sure they have all that yet. They have a couple.
We got quite a few steals last night, though, and Josh Hart and Jeremy Grant are good. They're good when they're on the floor together.
Those are hustler guys. I like those kind of guys. They get the hustle points. They get the steals, the rebounds, the block shots, the things. They go after loose balls. And that's something you don't see is the loose ball thing. When there's a loose ball, who goes and gets it? That doesn't show up in stat lines anywhere, but it's very important.
Did you see Shaden's first dunk attempt?
Yeah.
Bring right back the other way. I was like, my goodness.
I mean, he's rookie.
I guess.
He
he tried to do too much. Just put the ball in the basket. It looks cool, yeah, but come on now.
Well, he hasn't played in how long? A game?
So it's been a little bit since. I mean, he was playing summer, not summer league, preseason.
Yeah, but this is different. This is full on, game speed.
Full competitive basketball. This is his first competitive basketball game that counts in. Jeez Louise, a couple years. Let's
put a lot of qualifiers on that. It's the first professional basketball game that counted on a Wednesday night.
You don't even have to prove them. It's just the first basketball game that counts.
I guess that's true.
Because the summer league doesn't count, the preseason doesn't count, and anything you go do with the Drew League during the summer doesn't count. Right. Any rec league you're a part of doesn't count. The last time he was supposed to play competitive basketball was at Kentucky. He didn't play there, so we're talking high school. So it's been 2 years since my man has played on a court when it mattered.
Yeah, that's true. And so if you're watching on TNT over there, the Lakers and the Clippers are tied at 12. It's in the first quarter. It's early. Lakers trying to go 0-2 to start the season. We can only hope.
Can only hope.
I don't know.
Did you hear what Chuck said about Russell Westbrook?
I did hear what Chuck said.
I loved that quote.
Chuck dropped some gems. Now that he's got paid. He's not that he didn't before, but I think he's free now to say whatever he wants. I mean, I don't know. Chuck was never one to hold back, so.
I know, but he just people are often blaming, like, oh, the Lakers got to get rid of Westbrook. He's bad for him. He's bad for him. And Chuck kind of put it in a perspective of like, look, the Lakers are sucking the joy of life in basketball out of Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Like saying like they're bad for you as much as you might be bad for them.
Yeah.
Like you need to get out of here, dude.
I don't think it's a great fit. I don't think he does anything for that team. I mean, he doesn't add value to the team.
He's a ball-driven superstar, right? Yeah. He needs the ball in his hand.
Yep. And
in this system, you are the third option.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's not a great. Right. Have you gone from every team you've been on? You've been, obviously you split time with Harden and you split time with KD at one point, but since you kind of rose up, every team you've been on, it's been through you.
Yeah.
Starts with you. You take the inbound of the ball, or you take it coast to coast half the time. Like it is all you. Now he has to wait. He has to wait for permission from LeBron and AD to take a shot. And so the average time holding the ball for Russell Westbrook last year was the lowest in his entire career, 4 seconds. He held the ball for 4 seconds on average last year. It's actually like 4.1. But compared to other years like OKC, like his big triple-double years and things like that, 13 and a half seconds.
Yeah. I mean,
they're dumping it off to him and saying, make this now.
Right. Yeah. He's not the everything doesn't go through him. And so that's hard for him, I think, to feel the groove as the game goes. You know what I mean? To feel like you're part of the game when you're on this particular possession. My job is to catch it and dish it.
Not to mention it's LeBron. Everyone kind of knows that LeBron's kind of a jerk to. He's a fantastic athlete, but he's a jerk to play with. He's not. He just doesn't seem to be the best teammate.
Right. And now he's going to take over Lily's job on TV, so I don't even know what to do.
Oh, jeez.
That commercial drives me
nuts.
Not
Lily.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. It's goofy, but I'm tired of seeing it.
It is. You know what's goofy? I'll tell you what's goofy about it, and this is because this is why we do this show, so we can get off topic. I'll tell you what's goofy about it. He's sitting there arguing with her, and at some point in time, he says, "My work is done," and he clicks a pen. He didn't have a pen in his hand the entire time.
That's the point.
He wasn't writing anything
That's
down.
the point.
I know, but
it's pen is final. It's put the pen away.
It is so stupid.
I laughed at that the first time I saw it. So I was like, where do you get the pen?
I know.
But it's the point. You click it because you're done.
I get it, but I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's not even that funny. It's
and he's not arguing with her. They're agreeing.
I know, but they're they do like you and I do. We're on the same side here. But I totally disagree with how you're phrasing it.
I do like it. It was pretty funny. And then he goes over and looks out the window like it was his like Cleveland poster type thing. I thought it was funny. I'm tired of seeing it though. It can stop.
It happens every 6 seconds, especially during basketball.
But I was tired of the Matt Stafford one too. Even
the pizza one?
No, well, okay, yeah, I'm tired of that Matt Stafford one.
Right.
I was talking about the Matt Stafford AT&T.
Oh, the AT&T one, yeah.
He's like, I can trade in my old phone, even though I really loved it and enjoyed every minute with it.
Right. That one. I was talking about the pizza one. That one. Pizza.
I did that to Cassie.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like, for dinner, pizza. Like pizza.
No. Anyway, no. Where were we? Oh yeah,
talk about a guy who's going to lose all his endorsements.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah, they're not going to put together a very good season this year so far.
Everyone's going to be 500. We'll talk about that in a minute. Everyone's going to end up 500 except for like 3 teams, so it really doesn't matter. Everyone's going to make the playoffs.
It's still just Kansas City winning it all.
It's going to come down to coin flips to decide everybody, but the top 2 in each.
It's going to be Kansas City and Buffalo. That's one of those 2 teams is winning the title this year.
Maybe. I still have hope that there's another. But anyway, we'll talk about that.
There is another.
Let's talk about the National League Championship Series, which is not going on right now. But Philadelphia, San Diego on Tuesday. Philly won Game 1, 2-0 behind Bryce Harper's home run to left and Kyle Schwarber's a 488-foot bomb to right field. Zach Wheeler threw 7 innings, allowing just 1 hit and 1 walk. While striking out 8 Padres on Wednesday. That was last night. San Diego fought back from a 4-0 deficit. In the second inning, Philly scored 4, go up 4-0. San Diego fights back to win 8-5 and tie the series at a game apiece. Neither starting pitcher, neither Aaron Nola or Blake Snell, it was particularly effective. Both of them were kind of crappy. But the Padres' Josh Hader came in and struck out all 3 batters in the ninth to get the save and the Padre victory. So that's an interesting series in that's the number 5 and 6 teams to make the playoffs. The 2 worst records that made the playoffs are playing for the championship. And the Phillies had a chance to go up 2-0, and they are the worst record. So, but I mean, anyway. So that's an interesting. I don't even know what to make of the fact that the 2 worst teams. And Major League Baseball is literally already talking about changing the playoff structure to make it harder for those kind of teams to get through the first round. So like right now it's 2 out of 3 in the division series. They're talking about making it 4 out of 7 already.
Interesting.
So anyway, American League Championship Series right now is going on. Game 2 is going on. Houston Astros won Game 1 last night, beating the Yankees 4-2 behind Justin Verlander's 11 strikeout performance. He allowed just 3 hits over 6 innings, got the win. There were 5 solo home runs in Game 1. 6 runs scored. 5 of them were from solo home runs. That's the way that Major League Baseball plays now, which is it's exciting for 6 seconds or however long it takes.
Yeah.
The rest of the game is really boring.
Really boring. Yeah.
Right now, Game 2 is going on in Houston. Houston leads 3-2, top of the 8th. Yankees have a man on second, Giovanni. Giovanni? Is that right?
Giovanni.
What's his name? Yeah, Stanton.
Is it not Giancarlo?
Giancarlo. Why could I say Giovanni? It looks
Giovanni Stanton.
He should be Italian. Giancarlo. It is still Italian.
Sure.
Anyway, he's at the plate now. 2 outs, top of the 8th, runner on second. Anyway, so Yankees losing 3-2. But stay tuned. If you're watching that's on TBS. All right. I didn't do a trivia question.
Didn't do a trivia question.
I don't have a trivia question. So
you don't have one?
No, I don't even have one.
Oh crap! I don't have one either.
I didn't even create a trivia question. I feel like I was going to, and I don't remember what I was going to talk about. But whatever.
Whatever.
We'll just skip it. Insert trivia question here. Anyway, let's talk about Formula One. We have a lot of stuff to talk about still, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. So the cost cap scandal, as we're going to call it, as they called it, actually. So let's talk about the cost cap for a minute from Formula One, which I don't fully. They just implemented it last year, and it was originally going to be $175 million.
Okay.
But it is $145 million because of COVID, and teams were losing money, and they had less races, and so they decided to reduce it. So it's 145. That's going to reduce it this year. It's 140, and next year it's 135 moving forward. So they're scaling it down so teams have time to adjust to the whole thing. So what's included in the cost cap? Because this is a big thing, right?
Right.
The initial cap covers expenditures that relate to car performance, but it excludes marketing, race driver fees and salaries, cost of the team's 3 highest paid personnel, salary costs for staff on maternity or paternity leave and sick leave, plus the cost of medical benefits provided to team employees, travel. What else? There's something else. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, all that stuff is exempt.
Non-car, yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff is exempt from the cap. So it's literally just whatever's the car, happens for the car.
Yeah.
And somehow or other, Red Bull went over the cap by a quote unquote relatively insignificant margin. And by that I mean their level of penalty is a what do they call it? Oh crap! Now I don't have that thing up. I had the one that said there's 3 levels of violation.
Procedural, minor, and something
minor.
else.
It's a procedural, minor, and then there's a material. Yeah, so they're on a minor violation because they're over by 5% or less of the cost cap.
That's right.
So if you go over by more than that, then it becomes a material violation, and it's supposed to be significant penalties. And if you're, procedural breach, which is what Aston Martin did, they failed to do something on time, get the numbers in, or I don't know what they did.
Yeah. It essentially it amounts to paperwork. You had incorrect paperwork.
So then they're talking about the penalties that could be out. I mean, you could have drivers' points or constructors' points taken away. You could have all this stuff, but it could also just be a fine as the penalty. That's one of the options. I have a feeling that, and that's part of the thing is that everyone's talking about, well, it should be, it needs to be come out firm if you're going to have the rules, blah, 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 blah. And I get that to some extent, but I also think that since that was the first year you put the cap into place, you kind of need to be a little more lenient in the whole thing. But if Red Bull's the only team that violated it and everyone else was squeaky clean, and I'm not saying they were,
As far as we know, we got to go on what we know. We only know that 2 teams did it.
Right, because if you find the right accountant, everything looks good.
Sure. Apparently, Red Bull can't do that.
Apparently, they couldn't do that. That's true.
So
I don't know. So I don't know what to make of it in terms of. I mean, everyone's making a gigantic deal out of it, and I think you're going to hear Mercedes make a gigantic deal out of it because if they take away points, then Lewis Hamilton would win another title, right? In theory.
I don't think they give the title to him. No.
So it would just be a no title, a vacant title, like a Reggie Bush Heisman.
Yep, and it would just be a vacated spot. I don't know, though, because if you're taking away points,
yes,
it leaves you with a winner.
It does leave you with a winner.
But if you're just taking away the title, you don't necessarily have to give it to somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't think that's
so I don't know how that works exactly.
I don't think that's part of the penalty thing.
I don't think it's going to happen anyways.
Yeah, I think there's going to be they're going to have an agreement, some sort of like financial agreement, and say, yeah, we'll pay a fine and it'll be over with. Because I think it's the first year of doing it. If it happens again, obviously, then you got a pattern and you can do whatever you want. But I don't know.
Today, the FIA offered Red Bull kind of what are they called, an accepted breach agreement?
Yeah, that's ABA.
Where Red Bull accepts responsibility, saying, yeah, we did something wrong, and as such receives a lesser penalty.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. It's such a weird thing, right?
I know.
Like you're gonna plea bargain your way into it's a sport. This isn't a criminal court. Like no one's going to jail for it. Like what are you plea bargaining into it for? Unless the options are more severe. Right. Unless Red Bull's looking at this going, oh, they're going to take away a title or they're going to take away points or whatever, unless we do this.
So here's the thing. Last year's Constructors champion was Mercedes. So Mercedes can't win any more than that. Right?
They could just win a Drivers' Championship,
but they could win the
points thing.
They could win the Drivers' Championship if they take away points from Verstappen. But I don't like that as a penalty in that you're penalizing the guy that drives the car for the rest of the team making a mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That seems weird.
You're penalizing it's the driver's part of it. You're penalizing the team. The driver's part of the team.
I get it, but he didn't have anything.
And unfortunately, we don't know, right? But the violations that they could make with that extra money could go directly into his hands.
Sure. Oh, and they could.
Versus like some obscure thing. That's why in the NFL, you can take away a draft pick.
You're absolutely right.
It's obscure. You don't affect the team. You don't suspend anybody necessarily. If a team does something wrong, you can do it like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing really to do in F1 other than take away money from them or take away points from the team.
So my issue is, I guess, if you're gonna penalize the driver, the only way that I could see you saying that the driver's has anything to do with it is if you say he knowingly used an illegal car. Because that's the only way I would penalize the drivers. He knew that something was wrong, or he knew that he had too much money invested in it, or he knew that whatever, and he went out and did it anyway. But he didn't do. I mean, how would he know that? He tells them what's wrong with the car. They fix it. They bring it back to him, right? He drives it. That's the extent of his involvement.
But you're viewing it as all the money is to make the car.
I get it.
And faster or better or whatever.
Right.
So there's direct advantage.
I get it from the team,
and regardless of whether Max knew it.
Right.
The car is Max as a driver, and that's where you're talking about constructors' points. Then you're taking away constructors' points. You lost points as a team, whatever. It doesn't change anything. I don't think it's going to matter.
Right.
But I don't think that if you're able to put a car on the track that is $8 million faster or whatever, or $8 million better, I don't know how you correlate that, but if you're able to do that and the only punishment is a fine, yeah, I would freaking violate it every time.
Would you?
It doesn't make any difference. It's a slap on the wrist. If every time you got pulled over for speeding and they just said it's just a warning,
right?
Are you going to actually stop speeding?
No,
because the worst that's going to happen is somebody's going to tell you to stop.
I mean, I could, but probably not.
You put kids in timeout. You take away things that they like. You don't just say knock it off. Because knock it off will not do it in the long term. And just telling them no. And that's essentially what a fine amounts to, unless the fine is huge. But that's why you and I came up with the great idea of taking the money away from next year's cost.
And that's
so you have however many $1 million less next year.
That's part of what they can do.
That's what they should do.
According to the
that's
rules.
The most effective punishment.
Is that they can reduce the cap for the next year. That's part of one of those things they said they could actually do.
Yeah, and then put them under like an audit blanket, meaning, okay, you violated it last year. Next year, you'll have $8 million less to spend if you went over by 8 or whatever you went by, and we'll monthly audit your records.
Right. Well,
And after 1 year, you're good. Everything's fine. You go back into the normal cost cap.
I think what we're boiling
Basically,
down.
probation for F1.
Right. Yeah. I think what we're boiling down to is that someone should be auditing this as we go anyway, so that a year later we're not talking about it. But what do I know?
Again, it took 6 months, 7 months for them to comment on.
I know
the crazy Abu Dhabi stuff. This is, I'm sure, more intense, like in terms of like your research and your accounting and things like that. I'm sure it's much more intense than what happened there.
Right.
That was all subjective. You could say whatever you want. There's gonna be some fact in this. You did or you didn't go over. You did or you didn't do this. You did spend it on this or you didn't spend it on that. So
you would think.
I don't know. It's very interesting. But I don't think they're gonna take any points away from Max Verstappen. But that being said, if your team routinely goes over the cost cap, so let's say they put them under a red flag for this year and they're auditing their accounts this year, and they do it again.
Yeah,
you need to suspend the team for races. You will miss the first 5 races of next season.
Here's my
the points. If they do take away points, it has to come away from both Sergio and Max, unless they can prove it went into one car, not the other.
That's true. That's a good point. So here's my favorite line from Formula One from the FIA about how the cost cap will be regulated. So listen to this. The cost cap administration. First of all, we have an administration just to cover the cost cap.
Got to. It's very English of them.
Absolutely. Will continue to use leading experts in financial regulations in sport who, with their experience, knowledge, and expertise in this area, will provide detailed and independent oversight of every team's compliance with the cost cap. Except we won't do it till the end of the year, next year sometime. We aren't going to do it now with the expert leading, experience, knowledge, and expertise. We're not going to do it while we go. We're going to wait till the end of the year, and then we'll figure it all out. And it'll take us about a year to figure out that you guys were wrong. That part to me sounds a little bogus. I'm like, you should probably maybe do it as you go. But hey, what do I know? I'm not in charge. So,
yeah, it's just a very interesting situation because the F1 keeps finding itself in funky stuff, and unfortunately, Red Bull keeps finding themselves right in the middle of it.
Right in the middle of it.
And
well, I guess that's
you can say what you want when teams ascend, targets do go on their back.
Yeah, scrutiny.
But sometimes it's Ole Miss committing 1,000 recruiting violations.
Sure.
Or Red Bull breaking cost caps, and all of a sudden you just go really good really fast. The Ole Miss thing is crazy. They got what? They were the number 1 recruiting class that one year, and they got like 7 top 5 recruits on NSD.
That's that whole.
And then it came out the next year that they were like paying all these guys.
That's that whole Robert Kimdichie.
Yeah, the Robert Kimdichie saga. Yeah, yeah. Hugh Freeze's group. Yeah.
I know we were 6-6 last year and barely made a bowl game, but we got the top recruiting class in the country, and they're all
10 of the top 50 players in the country.
They're all potential Hall of Famers.
And somehow they all came here all at once.
All decided to go to Ole Miss.
Not suspicious at all.
No, not as. I mean,
but that's just what you say. When there's smoke, there's usually fire, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And right now, you're seeing some smoke over at Red Bull's shop, and you're wondering what the hell's going on over there.
Hopefully, there's no smoke. But
is what but I don't think they should penalize Max. They need to find a way to penalize the team, and it needs to be.
That's going to be financial. That's all it's going to be this year.
Yeah, it needs to be leading from one year into the next with more scrutiny on them year over year. And whoever does it, Aston Martin too. It's procedural. I don't care if it's little, but pay attention to their records next year.
Right. Everybody though. I mean, hopefully they're paying attention to everybody's records. But
because there wasn't a fax machine within 10 miles, they couldn't get their forms out in time.
Practice 1 starts tomorrow in Austin for the Aramco United States Grand Prix. And 2:00 tomorrow, and then practice 2 also after that's over, and then practice 3 and qualifying are on Saturday. The race is on Sunday. It starts at 2:00, and I think that's Central Time. So I think it starts at like noon Pacific. So and
that's nice.
I feel like it's on ABC. I don't know that for sure. But I think it was last year. I think this one and the Mexico Grand Prix were both on ABC because it was real time. You didn't have to do it at 3 a.m. So
that's true. Yeah, you could do it midday. But ABC, no, I guess on Sunday it would just be CBS and Fox are the ones who are doing NFL stuff.
I think ABC shows it on because it's the ESPN family.
Yeah, races. The qualifying is on ESPN, but ABC is the race. Yeah,
the race. Yeah. Okay. So that's Formula One. Anyway, the race this year is over because Verstappen's already won. So
it doesn't matter.
We're just racing for constructors' points, which I think Red Bull's going to win.
Yeah,
probably tomorrow, probably on Sunday anyway.
Yeah, they're almost 200 points up.
Yeah.
It's done. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's really not much to race for, unless they're going to take away points. But anyway.
So there's a question. Once
Yeah.
a title, and I was thinking about this earlier. Once a title is decided,
Mm-hmm.
or the title and the constructors are decided. So once there's nothing else to race for,
right?
One, would you still race? Like as a driver, would you still race?
Yeah.
Would you still take those risks in that time? Like it's dangerous to sport and things like that. I think no one's going to try really that hard. It's going to be a watered down viewing thing for the people. Or should they allow you to race your reserve drivers?
Ooh, so I like the reserve driver thing too, but I want to say that if it's individual accolades, how many wins you have, how many poles you have, those kind of things are important to these guys.
Sure.
So I feel like that's what they're racing for. It's just like a baseball team that's got a 20-game lead with 10 games left to play. Are you going to take a day off or two? Yeah, because it's baseball and you don't need to play all those games. But if you're in the middle of chasing a batting title or a home run title, do you take that day off? Maybe not.
They didn't play Aaron Judge that last game.
We had already got the 62,
but he didn't
right?
have the percentage.
Oh no, he didn't. Yeah,
he needed to move up like 0.02% to take the title for the percentage. But so, I don't know, I could see people like whose position isn't in doubt. So Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen,
and that's the other thing.
Hamilton,
those
superstar drivers.
Yeah, so that's the other thing that you run into is that you get the teams that are 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
that are fighting for constructors' points and places, and they need to finish higher. I mean, if nothing else, just to say, hey, we finished 4th last year as opposed to 6th, and that it is important to them. So it's kind of not fair that the top teams would take the time off because that's going to skew the whole dang thing. But I do like the idea of having the replacement drivers or younger drivers given an opportunity to race. I think that'd be great because experience. How else are you going to get there if you don't race? Then you don't get your super license, right? Which is a thing. So,
I just couldn't blame like Charles Leclerc for being like, I'm not going to put my life on the line for this.
Yeah, I think if it
was there's no point. I could never blame a driver for that. You're not going to win the constructors and you're not going to win a title. And if you are far enough ahead, I think they're like 60 or 70 points ahead of Mercedes for second in the constructor.
Yeah.
So I think that they'll probably still win that. So maybe they do still have something to race for, at least for this one and maybe one more. But after that, who cares?
I feel like if it was 15 years ago and safety was, people were still dying on the track, yeah, I'm not going to race. But it's a lot safer now than it was. So, I feel like there's a lot less chance that something serious is going to happen. We've only seen one serious crash with any kind of injury, really. And that was, what's his name? 2 years ago.
Romain Grosjean.
Yeah, Romain Grosjean, who crashed into the thing and his car just blew up. Yeah. So, I feel like if it was serious, yeah, I would say, okay, maybe not. But it's not like football where every time you go out, you're risking an ACL tear. So I don't know.
I could just see it as an opportunity for a driver to start resting. Start preparing for next year. Start training for next year. I don't know. I don't know what you do with that time.
Taking the time off. Just go.
Well, I don't think a team shouldn't be fielded, so that's why I think the reserve drivers should be allowed to race.
I think
you're fielding a team. Yeah, I don't think you can just not race.
Right. I think you have to field a team.
So yeah, I think they should let the reserve drivers, once it's really decided, and then this includes Max Verstappen. I don't think Max Verstappen should
race
continue to be a target,
right,
with people chasing him. It doesn't make any sense for him to do it.
It's a weird situation in racing.
Yeah,
because it's an individual sport like that, where, it's not like golf where if you're leading by 20 shots, you could still end up getting a 21 on the last hole and losing. There's no way for you to lose at this point. You've already won it. So
it's done. It's decided.
Yeah. So as an individual sport, it's different in that respect.
In every other sport, once you've sealed your playoff bid or whatever, you typically rest your superstars.
Or if you
still have to field the team though.
What's the guy from Oklahoma State who just what's his name? Hold on. The guy from Evers. Yeah. So Oklahoma State defensive tackle Brendan Evers. He's got an unspecified injury, quote unquote, and he's already said he's going to skip the rest of the season and begin preparing for the NFL draft because they lost to TCU, and now he just feels like they probably have no chance to reach the national championship, and there's nothing to play for. Which is all more power to you. But I mean, you've only played 6 games this year. You're only 6 games in. You've only played half the season, and now you're already quitting. He's got an unspecified injury. Okay, it could be something that's going to keep him out anyway, but it just sounds like one of those. We're probably not going to get anywhere, so I'm going to call it quits. I just don't like that. I don't like that idea, that quitting idea. I understand it. I just don't like it. So I'm not mad about it. It's one of those things where I feel like if you just said, hey, I don't want to play anymore because, I have bigger things to play for. Well, these guys in F1, they don't have anything bigger to play for. There's nothing else. So I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, just thought I'd bring that up.
No, that's fair.
Not that it's
team sports are a little different than individuals, but
absolutely.
let the backups go. Let Logan Sargent get a race, and let's let DeVries from DeVries. Let him do his thing. So
right. I agree.
Let's see some fresh blood out there.
You want to talk about football?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Russell Wilson.
Talk about Russ.
Because he's on your team and he's your guy. I mean, he's not necessarily your guy, but he's your guy. Russell Wilson has taken a lot of the blame for the 2-4 start for the Broncos.
Yeah.
And now he's dealing with a hamstring injury that he may have sustained in the fourth quarter of this last game against the Chargers. Yeah. Chargers won. You know what? I got to go back. Hold on. Just give me a minute here because I'm going to stop.
Holding.
I'm trying to stop this in a spot where I can just. Okay. So he's dealing with a lot of issues, and the team hasn't been great. He hasn't been necessarily great. Now they're without top running back, right? So they've got some issues there. They got some injuries. His offensive line hadn't exactly been great.
Not doing him many favors.
No, but I feel like there's a lot of this that's out of his control. But you're going to get the blame as a starting quarterback. That's just kind of it is. But Monday night's 19-16 loss to the Chargers. It wasn't all on him. Montreal Washington muffed 2 punts, the last of which was in overtime, and it gave the Chargers the ball at the Denver 28. And he didn't so much as muff it as the kicking team. I don't remember who that was. The player made a great play, by the way. If you're getting blocked, you can throw that guy wherever you want to. And he threw him right into Montreal, Washington, and he muffed the punt, and then they got their ball back. I mean, I think that's a fantastic, smart heads-up play. If he doesn't get blocked and he's not trying to engage you, you can't do that. But the minute he touches you, oh man, game on! I can throw him wherever I want to throw him.
Yeah, so that's why it's important as a blocker on a kick return to know where the hell you are. And
you got to hear and that's the other thing is did Washington say anything? Did he say, hey, I'm hey, clear everybody. Hey, I'm catching it, or I'm fair catching it, and there's got to be a code word to tell him to get out the way. Did he do that? And if he didn't, then that's on him, and if he did, then it's on the other guy. So
right,
it's weird. It was just a weird play. But can we talk about that game for just a minute? And the fact that Dustin Hopkins hits a field goal in overtime, his 4th field goal of the game, and on the very first extra point attempt, he looked like he pulled a hammy. I don't know what the official diagnosis was. I haven't heard.
I think it was a pulled hammy.
Yeah, it looked like he pulled a hammy, just the way he grabbed his leg. And then every kick after that, he literally goes to the ground after he kicks it. And I know it had to hurt. Every single time he swung his leg, it had to hurt. But he nails all of them. They're all 30-something yarders, 4 30-yard field goals. He nails them all. And they win 19-16 in what originally started out, when we talk about bad football, we were talking about that. It originally started out as a game where I was going, okay, this is good. There's a touchdown. Here's field goal. It was 10-7. Okay, we're moving along. It's 10-10. And then it just became field goals. Neither team could actually go down the field and score. And there was a lot of actual bad football in that game. Justin Herbert threw 57 passes in that game without throwing a touchdown pass, which is an NFL record.
An NFL record, yep.
57 attempts in the game, and most of them were no longer than about 3 yards. It was just a weird game. I don't know. I don't know what your impression of the game was. You watched it, I'm sure, and it's the first overtime game that ever ended with a team winning, despite the fact that neither team managed a first down in overtime.
Yeah, that sounds right. It was such a weird thing. What the Broncos got going on, and you've heard me scream it for years, is that they have what I call old white guy coaching, which is like this really super conservative style of play calling. Nathaniel Hackett does that sometimes. So Russ came out in the game and started 10 of 10.
Yeah.
For 100 and something yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
And over those first 15 plays, because it was 15 plays and he threw the ball 10 times, over those first 15 plays and of those 10 throws, 8 of those throws were of 10 yards or more. So the ball traveled 10 yards or more in there. Right. 2 of them were shorter than that. As a matter of fact, I think one of them was like a little like dump off, like it was like to the left, and then one of them was like a little curl right over the middle. But he was throwing the ball vertically. He was going downfield with the ball.
Yep.
Then in the second quarter, they stopped doing that. And so over the course of the rest of the game, he went 5 of 18, I think. 5 of 18.
Sounds right.
For the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And we only threw the ball down on a play of 10 yards or more twice. They stopped throwing the ball downfield. We threw 9 screens over the course of the rest of the game. Like 9 bubble screens or curl screens or running back screens.
Right.
Like they stopped letting Russell Wilson throw the ball. And then they started running the ball more, which was, DeMarco Murray, which, again, forgot he was on the team or he just got signed. All of a sudden I see him, I'm like, holy crap.
Right.
That guy?
Yeah.
He did great, averaging 4.9 yards a carry. And then we come into in overtime, we had a 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
And we threw the ball.
I mean,
you got this running back who's churning, who's doing good. You're in a position where the quarterback could even sneak the ball and probably get it.
Yeah.
And we throw the ball.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nathaniel Hackett is out thinking what he has available to him.
Yeah.
And it's constant. And when he's not, it looks great, i.e. first quarter.
Right.
So it's really tough to watch.
And I think what you're getting Russell getting all this thing, and he did miss a couple of open receivers.
Yeah, there were a couple
plays.
of them.
Yeah. It happens, but every quarterback has that. And you
can't get them all right.
You're watching all the memes and all the people on the internet, the trolls out there, just saying, "Oh, well, he's 5'11". There's, he can't see over the line." Well, so what was the excuse in Seattle? He was still 5'11".
He had any problem doing this before.
He didn't shrink, guys.
Yeah.
It's now Seattle was using him in more of a rollout almost every time.
Yeah.
Which helps you see the field. I mean, it does. So maybe that's what Denver needs to do is get him out of the pocket every time and just design the plays to roll and move.
Well, and some of that first quarter success, like his touchdown pass, did you see it?
Yeah.
He moved out of the pocket, and he wasn't pressured to move out of the pocket yet. He just made a decision to start moving. He moved out of the pocket, started going towards the line. That little safety hitched for a quick second, and he dumped it, and it was beautiful, and it worked.
Another theory is that fame and being married to Sia is causing all this, and that he's no longer in touch with Sierra, and no longer in touch with his team. And I'm like, I don't think that's a thing either. But
people have a lot of opinions. It just
Russell Wilson seems like to me like a very nice person. Like he's very likable. Like he's level-headed. He doesn't ever get mad. You never see him get angry. He doesn't Tom Brady things. He looks like he's doing the right thing every time. I think he's number one. He's not young like he used to be. So he's not nearly as mobile as he used to be. I get that.
And yet he ran for a quick 50 yards in the first quarter.
And I think he could be. I think you could still use him in situations to make plays happen. And anytime you roll outside the pocket, you change the view of the defenders. The defenders have to look at you. Someone's got to come up and take you, right, to account for you. And that changes everything in the coverage. And the longer you stay alive, and Kyler Murray is the classic example, is the longer you stay alive in the pocket, the defensive backs have no chance. If it's more than 5 or 6 seconds, the defensive back is not going to stay with. Not every defensive back stays with every receiver for that long. Someone's going to come open. So I feel like that was one of those things where I think they could use him a little better and move things around a little bit. And if he scrambled just a little bit more, but I know he's old and I get it, and he's probably taking a lot of hits. And
he probably pulled his hamstring on one of those first quarter runs.
Yeah. So now he's hobbled a little bit, and so I guess we'll see more. Brett Rippon is getting reps, first team reps.
Yeah, and that's fine because Brett Rippon's been okay, but I think that the bigger issue here has just been it's been some play calling that I haven't been a big fan of. Russell Wilson definitely has had moments of blame, and there's a really great video. Kurt Warner does like a QB analysis and breakdowns online or on YouTube, and he has a video where he compares Russell Wilson to Josh Allen.
Right.
And he talks about why are great teams great. He says football's a game of inches, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to see why right here. And he shows I think it's 5 or 6 plays that are the exact same. Denver runs it and Buffalo runs it.
Yeah.
And so like one of them's like this big long post route, from the right side. Receiver comes up and he's supposed to go inside of his man. He does it for Josh Allen. Josh Allen nails him. On the other one, he's like the receiver gets lazy and goes outside right as Russ is throwing the ball.
Right.
And next thing you know, it's a pick in the end zone against Indianapolis. Because the receiver was like, I'm just going to outrun him, go around the back of him and past him. He's like, that is a poor decision. It's like, so you got to have your players helping you too.
Right.
And so of these like 5 or 6 plays that he watches, one of them is Russell Wilson making a terrible read. Like a terrible throw. He throws the ball too deep when he should throw it more to the left. But all of the other ones were tight end dropped a pass, nails him right in the chest. And Josh Allen's one, same play, triple coverage, tight end catches it. Just is what it is. And he's like, it's literally that big a difference between 4 or 5 wins and 2 wins if people aren't doing everything you need them to do. So
yeah.
But he was very clear that Russell Wilson's not doing that many wrong things.
Yeah.
The team isn't necessarily helping him much, and he's doing some wrong things.
Yeah. And so he's not totally blameless, but it's still it gets amplified when he misses something and everything else is already going wrong.
And then, of course, it's a giant blockbuster trade. You gave away all your future picks pretty much for it. And if it's not going well, it's going to get even more and more and more scrutinized. So.
And now you have a worse record than Seattle.
And now you have a worse record than Seattle for now.
Now I keep wanting to say it's early, but we're 6 games in.
We're 6 games in. I said that the other day.
We're over a third of the way through, and I feel like I keep wanting to say it's early, and I guess I can say that till about 8 games, maybe halfway. I don't know. Yeah. It's not as early as you think it is.
It's not really. A third of the season's done.
If you're struggling at this point, you better turn it around the next couple games, otherwise it's going to be gone. Anyway, let's talk more about NFL. Because there are other things. And by the way, that sack by Drew Tranquill on the Broncos overtime drive.
Oh, do you know the time? Did you see the timer on it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was like no time.
God.
Boom.
It was what was it? From the time the ball was started to move to the time Russell Wilson was on the ground was like 1.4 seconds.
Oh, it was ridiculous. He was shot out of a cannon, and it was no one blocked him, no one touched him, and he just boom. And I was like,
they did that twice in that game, once earlier in the second quarter, and then once in overtime. Like, good grief.
That was a huge play in that game.
And the running back even picked up a block too. He picked up another. They were
sending
like 3 or 4 guys, and what are you gonna do, right?
Right.
You can't block everyone.
You can't block. You could trip them. Where's Grayson Allen when you need him?
Knows it.
Anyway, so it was a great game. So let's talk more about the rest of the NFL. Just a few games. Marcus Mariota and the Atlanta Falcons are now 3-3 after beating San Francisco on Sunday 28-14, and they looked like the better football team. It wasn't even really that close. They actually looked much better. Mariota threw for 2 scores, ran for another. The Atlanta defense held San Francisco to 50 yards of rushing and forced 3 turnovers. The Falcons have been in every game this year, by the way. They lost by 7 to Tampa. The other 2 games are 4-point loss and a 3-point loss. And they're tied now with Tampa for first in the NFC South. Mariota finishes 13 of 14, only 129 yards, but 2 touchdowns. His only incompletion was his last pass of the game in the fourth quarter. So, he went 13 of 13 for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then threw an incompletion at the end. Efficient, I guess, is the term you're going to use. Just they looked good. They looked like they knew what they were doing, and they walked away from San Francisco fairly easily. San Francisco never looked like they had a chance to be in it. I mean, early in the second quarter they were still there, but it just never materialized. I don't know. Is Atlanta good enough to be this good? I guess is the question. It sounds weird, but that's what I'm going to ask.
When they're doing this without Cordero Patterson for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they leading rusher.
They look solid.
Yeah,
I think they are good enough to be this good. I think Marcus Smart, if you give this system, if you let Marcus do the things Marcus does well, they've let him run the ball a bunch, which is good. They've set him up well with some short throws and are mixing some deeper throws, and they've run the ball okay since Cordero Patterson's been gone. But no, I think they could easily be this good. They're number 2 in their conference, right, or in their division right now.
Yeah, with the division and the way the NFL's going right now, they're at 3-3. Unless you all of a sudden lose 3 or 4 games in a row, you're going to be in that playoff conversation for the next 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, this is a team that, yeah, okay, they might finish 9-8, but that's good enough to make the playoffs. Most in this year, it's going to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do I know? But
super cool.
it's pretty cool. It's interesting to watch. I guess we'll see more. Their division is pretty crappy though. Carolina, New Orleans, obviously losing tonight, 35-24. It's still in the fourth quarter. They haven't lost the game yet, and they're on the Arizona 17 with the ball, so there's still a chance with about 11 minutes left. But New Orleans doesn't look great. Andy Dalton, there's a reason he's a backup quarterback.
Ouch.
Back-to-back pick sixes to end the half, and giving Arizona 21 points in the last 2.5 minutes of the first half isn't helpful.
Yeah.
But, hey, so there's that. Let's talk about the Jets.
Okay.
Sauce Gardner with the cheese head after the game. They're in Green Bay.
He did a live stream, like, because he plays video games live, and the cheese head was in the background of it.
I love the cheese head. I think that's fantastic. And then one of the players for Green Bay went and knocked it off as he went down the tunnel, but which was a little unsportsmanlike, but I get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Jets are 4-2 after beating Green Bay 27-10. Not just a little, to beat them a lot. Breece Hall with 116 yards on 20 carries and a touchdown, and the Jets, Michael Clemens, blocked a punt that Will Park scooped up and ran 20 yards for a touchdown. The Jets are 4-2. They're leading the AFC East.
Interesting.
What? Well, they're behind. I'm sorry, they're second. They're behind Buffalo. Buffalo's 5-1, but they're right there. They're ahead of Miami.
They're in the thick of it.
Okay, and New England. And I'm like, the AFC East is looking like a division with a lot of wins. That could rack up a lot of wins if Tua comes back and is healthy.
Yeah.
I just don't know how that's going to go down. But did you at this point in the season think that the Giants would be 5-1 and the Jets would be 4-2?
Oh, hell no.
Hell no. Nobody did.
Hell no. I thought they'd be the Giants and the Jets.
If you bet $1 on that, I'll bet you're a millionaire now. So.
Ooh. I'll tell you what. If you at the beginning of the season put $20 on the Giants and the Jets to both make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And right now you're feeling really good.
Oh, yeah. You're going to make a lot of money at this point.
Yeah, you're feeling really good about that.
Let's talk about one of our favorite people to talk about. And that's Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Tampa Bay lost to the Steelers 2018, fall to 3-3. And there we see Tom Brady here in this picture right here, once again, yelling at teammates.
Yep.
He claims he's got a good relationship with his team. He said that after the game. I don't know if it was in a tweet or if it was on the Pat McAfee show, which is apparently the only show he goes on. He has a podcast.
He likes
right?
Pat McAfee.
He has a podcast too. Anyway, but he claims he has a good relationship with his team. But I know personally that I wouldn't like being yelled at repeatedly, on national television. Now, is he doing that to get him to play better? Probably. But after a while, it doesn't. If it isn't working, you're just yelling at people. So here's my take. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Tom needed to retire after he won the Super Bowl in Tampa.
Agreed.
He could still retire right now because I think if there isn't going to be a wife to go home to because you got a divorce because you're playing football, what's the point of playing football at this point? What are you doing? What do you got to prove? There's no records you need to go after. There's no Super Bowl ring thing you need to go after.
He pretty much leads everything.
And if it hadn't been for Eli Manning, he'd have 8. So I feel like he's just an angry person, and it shows when things don't go his way. You just see it. He yells at referees. He yells at teammates. He yells at whoever he needs to yell at. And things aren't going his way this year. So we're going to see nothing but that. Or he throws a tablet, which is this picture here. I don't know. What is your feeling about Tom Brady? I mean, you're agreeing with me that he should have retired. Can he still retire right now? Would he do that? He won't do that, will he?
He won't do it mid-season. He could still retire when the season's over, but he's not going to do it mid-season. And I don't think he should. I think that would look terrible. Oh, you're not doing so great and you retire. That's going to be the worst look ever. So at least finish out the season and do your thing. I don't mind that he's yelling at teammates because sometimes teammates are freaking stupid.
You're
not
wrong.
This isn't like somebody coming in and screaming at me, my boss screaming at me at the duck store or something like that, or somewhere else. This is a sport where you're coached through loud verbal commands.
Right, it's true.
This is how this works. So for Tom, with all of his rings and all of his thing, if Tom Brady is yelling at me, I should be listening. And I should be understanding that this guy is pissed because he understands something that I am clearly not getting.
Maybe.
And he knows better. He does. Tom Brady knows better than any lineman on his team how his lineman should be blocking. Doesn't mean he can do it, but he knows better than that.
And by the way, here's a picture of one of Tom Brady's Super Bowl rings.
Nice with a little air needle in it. Yeah. But I just don't mind it.
I don't know.
I don't mind Tom Brady screaming in his offensive line if they're being a bunch of jackasses and not listening to the coverage. Because I'm sure this isn't just that they got beat.
But it's not just
I'm sure this is him yelling at him saying, like, look, you need to listen to me while I'm talking or while I'm giving out commands because you didn't hear me make this coverage adjustment and it cost us a sack or it cost us position. Because I'm sure that he isn't going to scream at somebody for just getting beat.
It's not just the yelling at the teammates. I mean, here he is. There's a picture here yelling at the Saints.
Oh, I loved that one. That was last year.
No, it was this year. It was earlier this year.
Was that this year?
Yeah.
Because him and the Saints have had a couple run-ins.
For sure.
And Lattimore's kind of a jerk. So.
And here he is in New England yelling at a referee. And
the referees need to get yelled at. Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but when you're yelling at everyone, the other team, your own team, the referee, what are you angry about?
I'm just saying you've got 15 years worth of pictures you can flip through here and find a couple pictures of him yelling.
Oh, there's more than a couple. I had to hand pick.
I'm not saying that he doesn't yell at people. What I'm saying is you having a reaction to somebody yelling it's unnecessary. Those linemen, if that lineman gets up and gets in Tom Brady's face, then you know what he's saying is probably inappropriate. But they didn't. They sat there and listened because they know they needed to be yelled at because they screwed up. As soon as the lineman has a problem, I'll have a problem.
I'm just saying, if I dare you to find the pictures of Aaron Rodgers yelling at his team or the pictures of Russell Wilson yelling at his team, or throwing a tablet, you don't see that.
Different kinds of leaders, man.
I guess that's true.
They're different. They're different people. Tom Brady's always been much more vocal than either of those guys.
It's going to be hard, and a lot of people will tell you that's what makes him great, and I understand that. I hear what you're saying. High
competitive motor, yeah. Sure.
I hear what you're saying, but there comes a point where your team is kind of crappy, and you should have retired, and you're 45 now. That maybe you should still retire. That's all I'm saying.
It's not going to get better. Your personal life are irrelevant of a line blocking or not blocking the way they're supposed to.
But the
people
anger
are trying to tie those things together.
I am, because the anger that you're projecting is not just because the line is bad. It's because your home life is shitty.
Now you're assuming.
You're right.
I'm absolutely
angry. But it's a combination of crap, and you can't tell me it's not.
I can't tell you it is.
Right.
You tell.
You know how it. You know how it manifests itself, though.
I know when Tom Brady was on top of the world back in 2010, he was still yelling at his teammates.
Okay.
I don't think it's mattered the fact that anything else has happened. He might be a little edgier now, but
But I've seen.
I mean, who cares? He also has a worse coach this year.
Yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
Have you ever seen him scream at his coach?
It's just the team.
Have you ever seen him scream at his coach?
He
clearly knows how to draw a line.
He yelled at. He yelled at what's his name last year.
Oh, when he wouldn't go for it on that play.
Right.
Yeah. He was like, let me go for it. Yeah. He's like, no. He's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I have the best percentage of positive carries for a quarterback sneak in NFL history. I'm not overreacting to Tom Brady. I don't know what's going on with his personal life, and honestly, nobody knows.
No.
There's all these little reports saying, oh, there's a rift between Giselle and Tom, but no one actually knows for sure, and you just don't know what's happening.
Well, they did hire divorce attorney. They are attorneys, so I mean, there's something there. But
maybe they hired him for somebody else.
Good. Okay. Anyway, so
and it's a ton of speculation, but more than anything, Tom Brady's team is doing badly. That's a position he's not used to being in.
It's true.
So
for a long time, it hasn't been that way for a long time.
Yeah. So it's not surprising to me to watch him be upset. So
Tony Romo gave us the quote of the week in the NFL. During the first quarter of the Kansas City Buffalo game he was doing with Jim Nantz on Sunday, he literally says, this is going to be a 24-20 type of game. That's an exact quote from him. What was the final score? Buffalo wins 24-20. I think there's something up, something fishy. Either he knows what's going to happen or it's rigged.
He's a wizard.
I mean, he's a witch. I don't know.
I like Tony Romo.
I
I could listen to him all day.
I know. And like I said, I when I watched him as a quarterback, I was like, you need to get rid of this guy. He's, I mean, he was an okay quarterback, but he was never. He couldn't win big games. He couldn't win
He was
anything that
actually
mattered.
like
But
statistically, he was
yeah,
a fantastic quarterback.
absolutely.
But he couldn't
Just
stay healthy.
just not a big game quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got hurt. He got hurt a lot too.
He did too. Anyway, I thought that was amazing. I mean, I've never heard anybody say that in the middle of a game that they're doing, tell you what the final score is going to be. It's going to be a 24-20 kind of game. And it was. Let's look at
real quick though. What I like about him is that he doesn't sound like a classic commentator. Like everyone has like those classic voices,
right?
You know, and Chris Collinsworth has it. He just kind of sounds like a dude who's watching the football game.
He does sound like that guy
and I kind of like that.
That guy that answers the Corona hotline.
That's right.
Let's look at week 7. Sorry, week 7 in the NFL, and this is what's going on right now. New Orleans and Arizona. New Orleans got the ball back. They're leading 45-24. I think that's what the score is. And driving. So that game's pretty much over. Interesting matchups this week, in my opinion. You know, Denver needs a win. They're going to play the Jets at home. The Jets could be 5-2 the way Denver's playing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Seattle and the Chargers. That's an interesting game, depending upon how many defensive linemen the Chargers offensive line lets through. They haven't been sacked that many times. Justin Herbert hasn't been sacked but like 7 times this year. But
yeah, they're doing great.
But it seems like when they do, it's bad. Kansas City, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Miami. Pittsburgh just won a game where Kenny Pickett goes out, right, for concussion protocol, and they have to bring Mitch Trubisky back in, and he leads them to a victory. And
the biscuit comes right back.
I don't understand. None of this makes any sense, by the way. Atlanta, Cincinnati.
I think what you're understanding is that Trubisky and Kenny Pickett are the same level.
The same quarterback, yeah.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Cincinnati, both 3-3 teams.
That's gonna be a
right?
great game.
That's a really good looking matchup. Detroit, who can score in bunches against Dallas.
That's another great matchup. Detroit with the leading offense in the nation.
Yeah, they're still 1-5, but they have a chance. I don't know. There's some good games here. Cleveland versus Baltimore. Both teams kind of reeling, and Baltimore can't hold a lead. I don't know. There's a lot of crap going on here, so it's interesting.
A lot to love.
There is, and I think that's. And we were talking about. We're probably not going to talk all about blowouts right now, but this is what we were talking about: is that the fact that the season is so close and all the games are kind of close, and you don't know who's going to win, makes this schedule look better,
right,
than it probably should.
Usually by now you're going, oh well, the Jets are going to lose, the Giants are going to lose. You can rule out the Falcons, blah blah blah. You can just kind of do your thing right now, but you don't know.
There's not a game on this schedule, and I'm looking at it right now. Save maybe the Dallas-Detroit game.
Yeah. There's
not a game on this schedule. Tampa to Carolina. There's 2.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones that I see where I would tell you who I think is going to win, and I'm 90% sure. The rest of them would be 60 at best.
I'm feeling pretty confident in Bears-Patriots that the Patriots will win.
I mean, maybe.
But you're right. I would say that's like an 80% confidence, not even a 90% confidence.
But that's maybe Jones coming back from injury.
Right. I mean, you shouldn't play him. This is the Cooper Rush situation. You should not play him.
Right. In his first game, after you've won the last couple, I mean, that's what I'm saying. And Pittsburgh.
I don't even know if you should play Dak this week.
Right. And
if you're Dallas, are you going to go ahead and put, Cooper Rush on the bench after one loss to the?
I don't know.
And the only undefeated team in football.
Tua is supposed to start against Pittsburgh. I mean, if T.J. Watt was out there, I would tell you not to.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't know. There's some interesting games here. Las Vegas, who's maybe already out of it. I don't know.
Tua. It's so funny that you mentioned the Tua thing because I was flipping through Netflix, and how like if you click on it, but if you put your cursor over a title, it'll play like a little clip from the movie.
Yeah.
So I put it over Any Given Sunday because they had it on there. I was like, ooh, this could be good. And the clip that they played is Cameron Diaz talking to the team doctor, played by James Woods, and asking him about one of their players' ability to play this Sunday. And he was like, the guy's sustained 3 concussions in 5 months. He's got a future to worry about. And she was like, well, we have a franchise to worry about, and blah 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 blah. And then
Right.
all this stuff, and in my head, I'm like, oh my god, how topical.
Yeah. That
That
movie
I
is
mean,
is a
it's
great
good.
movie. If you've never seen it, everybody should watch that.
Is that Oliver Stone?
Yeah, and it hits all the buttons. I
Yeah.
mean, it literally hits all of the talking points in professional football. Covers
Yeah.
all that stuff. So yeah. Anyway, week 7 is going to be an interesting week, and
Wh-
it's gonna. I don't think anything's really going to get decided, but um, you're 7 weeks into a 17 game season, and I don't think we know anything other than some of the teams who have the week off. Buffalo is really good. Kansas
Yeah.
City's really good. Um, Other than that, I mean, Kansas City's going to beat San Francisco probably, but San Francisco's defense is good enough where I just don't know. And Kansas City hasn't been overwhelming. I
Right.
mean, they've won. They're 4-2. They haven't been overwhelming this year. So that's another thing. I feel like if you had to play Buffalo, Kansas City again, I'm going to pick Buffalo again. I think they're the best team in the AFC, but still. But what do I know?
But what do I know?
I don't know anything. I don't. Yeah. I don't really do this for a living. It's just a side gig.
It's just a side gig.
Right. Okay. I've got a. How do I transition to here without transitioning? Because I don't have it up back here. So how do I do that? Interesting, huh? It's a whole big thing. But we're gonna move on to second. I guess what is the second half of the show? It's gonna be short though.
Short half, yeah.
Short half. Second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Boss, be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com for knit-alongs, games, fun, exclusive sales. Go on to BossKittyShop.com and get your kitty glitter yarn, soft, sparkly, out of this world. See, it says it right there. Looking for a gift? Get them a Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card and let them pick it out themselves. That's Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarn so boss, you'll knit your pants. So now we can talk about the Ducks a little bit.
All right.
College football. ESPN's College Game Day will be in Eugene for Saturday's Pac-12 showdown between unbeaten and 9th-ranked UCLA and the 10th-ranked Oregon Ducks. That's going to be a good matchup. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's already getting Heisman consideration from a lot of people. And I don't know how because Bo Nix has almost the same numbers.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured that one out yet. But they're unbeaten, so that's why.
That's why. Absolutely.
But I think it's going to be a great matchup to watch. Chip Kelly's back in Eugene. It's going to have a lot of fun to it. If you're going to watch one game, if you're going to go to one of those games this year, a Duck game, that would be the one. Right now, anyway. So
I agree. Yeah.
as long as they don't wear the yellow undershirts with the yellow pants again, as long as they don't do that mistake, we're good.
Well, they're not. They're wearing the breast cancer jersey.
I know that's right. They're doing the pink thing, which I should have got a picture of and put it on here. I seen the pictures. I just didn't pull it up.
Yeah, I've got one of these jerseys hanging up in my closet about 2 feet away.
Nice. Anyway, going to be a great game. That is, I think it's on ABC.
ABC, yes.
Yeah, it's on ABC later on Saturday afternoon, something like that. Anyway, I don't know what time the game starts, but I didn't look at it, but not a big deal. Let's talk about the rest of college football because we can. Number 5, Michigan embarrassed number 10 Penn State 41-17 behind 418 rushing yards. 173 for Donovan Edwards and 166 for Blake Corum. Each of them scored 2 touchdowns. Penn State was overmatched. I mean, at halftime it was 17-16, or in the third quarter, 17-16 Nittany Lions. And then Michigan kind of flexed up and said, stop this. The body blows, the repeated running body blows just doomed them, and then it was 25 straight points for Michigan, and away they went.
And away they went.
Yeah, and so Penn State still has Ohio State on the schedule and other teams. I don't know. Penn State does this every year, though, right? They get ranked highly because they start off okay, and then they play Michigan, and they play Ohio State, and then they end up being whatever they are, 9-3. All right, let's talk about where am I at here? I don't know where I'm going. TCU, number 13 TCU, still unbeaten. Well, they were number 13 after beating number 8 Oklahoma State 43-40 in double overtime. A big game in the Big 12. TCU's unbeaten, still is one of the 7 unbeaten teams left, I think, 6 or 7. I don't know how good they are. I can't tell you because I don't know how good the Big 12 is. I really don't. But this was a home game for TCU, so there was the edge there. I guess that probably was what it created to the 3-point win. I don't know. Sonny Dykes, maybe coach of the year by the time we're done. I don't know. Syracuse, also still unbeaten. Number 18 Syracuse with a 24-9 win over number 15 NC State. So they're still unbeaten in the ACC, at least until this week when they play Clemson. Big game in the ACC. We'll talk about those games in a minute. Number 9, Ole Miss. Feel free to chime in if you got anything you want to say about any of these games. I'm going fast.
I'm happy just listening to them. Yeah, there's a bunch of good ones, but I mean, it's the Duck game. It's the best one of the weekend.
Yep. Number 9, Ole Miss is 6-0 after beating Auburn 48-34, and they're getting lots of love. But they still haven't played the top teams in the West either. So that's coming down the way. Number 22, Kentucky beat Mississippi State 27-17. Battle of two teams I feel are severely overrated, just in general.
Yeah, I think they're both a little too hyped.
We giving a lot of love to Kentucky team that. Anyway, after losing 3 straight, Oklahoma won, and they beat number 19 Kansas 52-42. Another team that was probably overrated and doesn't know how to handle success because they haven't been good for a while. It's hard to win when you haven't been winning. It's hard to know how to win.
Yeah.
So 2 best games of the weekend, and we haven't talked about these yet, but the 2 best games of the weekend. Number 20, Utah beating number 6 USC 43-42 behind Cameron Rising's 415 passing yards. 234 of those were to tight end Dalton Kincaid. 16 catches, 234, and a touchdown. Utah just wouldn't go away. They took a couple of body blows early from USC, and they just hung in there. They just kept coming. It was a fun game to watch, in my opinion.
I tuned out of it because I was like, oh, well, this is over.
Right.
And it was not over.
It was not
I came
over.
back in to watch like the last little bit of it. It was very exciting.
Utah managed to do some things, and that is one hell of a day. 234 receiving yards, 16 catches is a lot of catches. He was really, to be honest, he was their only weapon in the passing game. But USC couldn't stop him. They had nobody to match up with him. So anyway, and Utah just exploited it. But that exposes a weakness in USC, obviously, that other teams can now follow. So I don't know how that'll fare for USC, but we'll figure it out. And then, of course, number 6 Tennessee beating number 3 Alabama 52-49 on kicker Chase McGrath's knuckleball 40-yard field goal as time expired. That was almost blocked. I mean, that last play had everything. The time is expiring. The ball was not hit well. There was an Alabama guy who ran straight up the middle with both arms in the air. And somehow or other, it went over the goalpost. And I still don't know how. Quarterback Hendon Hooker for the Vols throws for 385 and 5 touchdowns, all of them to wide receiver Jalen Hyatt, who ended with just 6 catches, 5 of them for touchdowns, 207 yards. What a game. That 19 Alabama penalties didn't help anything for them.
Absolutely not.
No, but it took all of that for Tennessee to beat them. So
they tried really hard.
It took a home field and 19 Alabama penalties for them, and a missed 50-yard field goal for Alabama near the end. But if you're Alabama and you're trying to tell me that you're one of the top, you're a college football playoff team, and you miss a field goal, a game-winning field goal, or a go-ahead field goal, with 15 seconds, right? I think it was like 15 seconds left. And then you allow the other team to complete 2 passes and gain about 30 yards to get into field goal range. You're not that good. I mean, that's bad. I'm just saying. So anyway,
I'm just saying.
You can't allow a team to just, march 30 yards on 2 plays in 14 seconds and a chance to win the game. But what do I know? Anyway, that was a great game to watch. It was a great game to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
The celebration, they threw the goalpost in the river. But there's probably worse things in that river. So
yeah, it's a pretty gross river.
Pretty gross.
People say what they want.
For those of us that have lived there. Yeah. Anyway, latest AP poll is out, and I don't have that one up at all. I'm just not even prepared for the world and what we're doing here. Let me get it up so we can see it, because that's what we want to do. Latest AP poll is out. Here we go. Latest AP poll is out. Looks like this. Obviously, Georgia at number 1 now, right? Because of the Alabama loss, and it solidifies them as the number 1 team, although Tennessee gets 15 first-place votes for that win over Alabama.
People are believing.
I feel like that's a lot for a team that, we already knew Alabama struggled with Texas,
Yeah.
Alabama was having some issues already. I don't know that you've given them a lot of credit for, I think, Alabama team that might end up with at least 2 losses this year for the first time in a while.
Ooh,
I,
that would be interesting.
I just said that because LSU is a pretty good football team. They still got to play them.
It's crazy that LSU's kind of turned it around a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, Tennessee's good, no doubt, but they still got to play Georgia. So there's that. Ohio State number 2 there with 17. The other 17 first place votes at 6-0, and then he rounds out the top 5 with Michigan and Clemson. There you see UCLA and Oregon at 9-10, USC at 12, Utah bound back up at 15, and then you get the overrated teams in there. I think Kansas State's one of those. Kentucky's one of those. Texas is definitely one of those. North Carolina at 6-1, but it's overrated team. They're better. Their record is better than their team actually is. So there's a lot to be said. We'll see. We'll know more. We're gonna know more after Saturday. Oregon and UCLA is gonna decide who's in front of the Pac-12 at this point.
Yeah. A lot to learn here soon.
Yeah, Oregon's got a rough road too. I mean, they're all at home, but they play UCLA, Utah, both at home, and Washington. So, I mean, all those are home games. So you got a good chance if you're going to win them. The schedule works out well for Oregon, but they got to beat UCLA first. And I don't know. I think that's kind of a toss-up right now. I'm not willing to tell you Oregon can beat them.
I'm not either. I just know that the one thing Oregon does well is run the football.
Yeah.
And that's their weakness.
Yeah,
and the one thing they do well is run the football, and that is not Oregon's weakness on defense.
So hopefully that'll work out. And then the home field advantage.
Oregon's going to force them to put the ball into the air, and I think that's where the game's going to be decided. Can they make enough plays? And because once you get into the shorter field, that's where Oregon tends to dominate.
We're going to find out.
So Oregon's done a fantastic job handling the run and mobile quarterbacks, and that's 2 of their main components here.
Yeah, gotcha. So also, see, and I can't pull that up without it being a problem. I should have pulled it up already, but I guess there's no way to do it because it's all under the same thing. It's okay. So we'll just do this because why not? Everybody can see how the inner workings of everything works. So college football games, best college football games of week 8. These are the top 6 that I picked because the rest of them are kind of meh. Obviously, got the UCLA Oregon game. That's where College Game Day is. That's on ABC. Syracuse and Clemson are battle of unbeatens. One of those 2 is going down. Clemson's lucky it's at home because I think Syracuse is good enough to beat them. I don't think Clemson's that good, but I don't know for sure.
I would agree.
Mississippi State at Alabama. I think this is a bounce back game. If you don't think that Nick Saban just ripped the crap out of his team and they ran all day, every day this week preparing for Mississippi State just because he was angry, they're gonna tar and feather Mississippi State. This is gonna be bad, in my opinion, because I don't think Mississippi State's that good.
Agreed.
And then you got this Texas at Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's way better than Texas. Texas is going to get a 3rd loss and finally drop out of the top 25 where they should have been. Well, they were last week before they beat whoever, and they come back in. They're in and out. Kansas State at TCU. That's an interesting game. Kansas State has been pretty good with Martinez at quarterback. They've been much more mobile and much more unpredictable, I guess. But TCU's playing at home, and they're still unbeaten. So TCU can prove to me that they're a playoff caliber team with another win against a ranked team at home. Anyway, and then you have the Ole Miss LSU game. And LSU has been better. Ole Miss, this is their first test, really good test on the road against a team that I think could beat them. So, anyway. Oh, if you could only watch one of those games, which one are you watching?
Oregon.
Okay. If you can't watch the Oregon game, which one would you watch?
Probably Texas OK State.
That might be a good game, but I think that's an
I think OK State's going to run away with it.
I kind of hope they do. I don't know why I don't like Texas, but I get tired of hearing Texas's name all the time like they're some kind of thing. And they're not. They're just not. Every year they just let you down. So, I don't know. What do I know? It'd be interesting to watch TCU and see if they go to 7-0 too. But I think Syracuse could pull that upset. I think you're on an upset alert. I think it's Clemson. If you want one. So, I don't think that an Oregon win over UCLA is an upset, really.
I don't think it is. Are we considered favorites?
I don't know what the line is.
Go look. Oregon 6.5.
Ooh, a 6.5.
They're saying Oregon's a 6.5 point favorite. I would pound the under.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the over under? Does it say?
Let me see. I don't think so. 70.5.
Okay.
70.5 and 6.5 favorites.
It's like a 40-30 game or a 35, well, 35, but
I'm going to call it right now, Tony Romo style. This is going to be a 24-20.
That is exactly Tony Romo style.
Actually, I'm gonna say right now we'll go 30. So let's see, so 24, 31. So we'll go 30, 38 to 20 to 31. 38, 31 Oregon.
So you're taking the under.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go under on points, but I'm gonna say that Oregon covers the spread.
I could see this being one of those classic 45-44 double overtime games. You know what I mean?
I love those ones. By the way, did you just see the news?
No.
Panthers are trading Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers.
Does that change everything or anything?
Not really.
I mean,
the 49ers weren't exactly having problems running the ball, but this does make them distinctly more dynamic on offense.
Dynamic, yeah. I think that adds an extra. It's a wrinkle that.
And that's a coach who would love that type of player.
Interesting.
So
that's interesting.
Good stuff.
That's interesting. We're gonna see. I'm gonna talk about the Timbers in about 2 seconds. They started off crappy. They played great in the middle of the season. Towards the end, they lost the last 2 games to LAFC and Real Salt Lake and missed the playoffs. So there you go. Better luck next year. That's all I can say. It's just.
Oh no, we suck again.
Oh no, yeah, it was one of those years where you just go, it should have been a lot better. The Kraken are off and rolling, except they're 1-2-2 after 5 games. But they lost 2 overtime games. They're actually, if the playoffs started today, they'd make the playoffs.
Heck yeah.
But
they don't.
but they don't. And they lost 4-3 to St. Louis in overtime last night. And all 3 games in the NHL, by the way, last night ended 4-3. I think there's something wrong. Rigged.
Rigged.
It's got to be rigged for that to happen.
Collusion.
Also, if you scored 108 points in the NBA last night, you probably lost. If you didn't know, if you didn't notice it, it's one of those weird things when you just look at the numbers, and I do, because that's what I do. But I'm looking at the scores from last night's NBA games, and let me just tell you, the Kings scored 108 and lost. The Nets scored 108 and lost. The Heat scored 108 and lost. The Thunder scored 108 and lost. The Raptors scored 108 and won. So there is one of those teams.
So that just changes from it's more than likely if you scored 108.
More than likely. Yeah, that if you scored 108, you lost that game. Unless you're playing the Cavs. But anyway. Yeah, it's weird. Scoring's up in the NBA just in general. No team in any game last night was held under 100 points. And if you like scoring, that's great. I don't mind scoring in the NBA as long as it's not all from the free throw line, because that's just boring. So, but, it is what it is. So, yeah, and nobody has scored less than 100 points this season yet. So we're only in day 3 tomorrow. So we'll find out more. Oh boy, I know, it's right there. I'm just throwing it out there. And by the way, if you didn't watch, so Houston beat New York 3-2. So they lead 2-0 in the American League Championship Series.
I saw. I just don't like Houston. Game
3 will be on Friday. So if you're watching, and for some reason they're in the middle of the damn day. So if you're working, it's a pain in the ass, but it is what it is.
Well, it's because even with it being playoff baseball, it still is not going to pull away from NBA viewership.
When you click on when you go to the ESPN website, and just an example, when you go to the ESPN website, and the top at the very top of the screen, there are some links or drop downs for the NBA, the NFL, NCAA football, NCAA basketball, NHL, and racing, right? Yeah. And then there's these 3 dots, right? Where you have to click on the 3 dots to get to the other sports.
Alternative sports.
And that's where you find baseball. It's in the other three dots. It's also where you find F1. But I feel like if you're relegating baseball, Major League Baseball, into the same spot that you're putting rugby, anyway, I feel like maybe since it's playoff time, it should be up here at the top.
Well, they know the traffic.
I know
they know their website's traffic, and as a sport gets more popular, like women's basketball is usually not up there, and then it makes its way up there mid-season.
But you'd think right now it's playoff time, you'd have MLB at the top, not NHL.
And yet
it's not. Racing is still there, and I'm like, racing? We don't even know what racing is. Well, it's NASCAR basically, or IndyCar.
And yet, more people are still clicking on that stuff.
I
Did
guess.
the Tennessee?
I know
they were
there's.
talking about viewership numbers from the Tennessee Alabama game.
Yeah.
It has more. That game had more viewership than any of the MLB playoff games so far.
Oh yeah. Well, and that doesn't surprise me because there's like a billion Alabama fans. Most of them are bandwagon, but there's about a billion Alabama fans out there.
Yeah, but you would think like the Yankees and one of their
Yeah,
playoff games
Yankees a big
would have garnered something, but no, it's not even close.
You know why that is, and I'm gonna blame this on the season length,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because who watches every game the Yankees play all year? Who has that kind of time? Number
No
one.
one.
No
and
one.
especially not when it's at 12 o'clock.
Right, but if there's only 12 football games you're gonna play all year, you're gonna watch all those as much as you can. Anyway, all right.
Baseball's model's just not kicking it anymore.
Yeah, I think maybe they should shorten the season, and then make more playoff games if they're going to do that. Don't put more teams in it. Just make more playoff games.
Shorten the season. Let the players start doing all the PEDs. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, why not? If you can do it, I can do it. Let them put stuff on the ball. I don't care. Put stuff in the bat. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's only fair.
Feels like a lot of oversight just for nothing.
Right. I mean, it's all going to work itself out. Hey, I corked the bat so I can get better, get it go further when I make contact with it. Oh, yeah? Well, I put Vaseline on it so it would slip off your bat and it wouldn't do anything. So it negates each other. Just do it. I mean, I don't know. What do I know? PEDs don't make you hit the ball better, just make you hit the ball farther. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You still have to have the hand-eye contact coordination to get the contact on the ball. But whatever. All right, so there we are, and now the floor is yours because this is the segment we like to call "Your Mother Thinks I Talk Too Much." So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
You got a minute.
All right, so I got an argument with a customer because he came in looking for it. Oh, that was weird. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you there?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah, it disconnected me for a second.
Oh, gosh.
The moment I started speaking, yeah, we were good now. Anyways, I got an argument with a customer. He came into the store and he was looking for a football jersey. And I said, we don't have any. And he goes, it just seems kind of ridiculous that you don't have any available. And I was like, we sold through them, man. Like, it kind of is what it is. And he goes, well, you're losing a sale by not having them in here. And I'm like, well, not really. Like, that's not losing a sale. It's a sale we couldn't make. It doesn't exist. If you came here just for a jersey and there was no jersey here, it was never going to be a sale. It's not a lost sale. It's not like we have the inventory and aren't selling it to you. We don't have the inventory. I was like, and furthermore, we sent out email blasts about the availability of jerseys, meaning your responsibility was to come or call as soon as you saw the email.
Right.
And our responsibility was to stock them. That is the contract between stores and customers. You need to come in a timely manner to get the stuff that you need, and we will have it available. And if you don't do that, then we can't promise that. And so people are getting really, really frustrated about the availability of things. And so that made me start thinking about, like, what is your responsibility as a consumer? And I think it is very simple, and that is just to be on time. To be on time and be polite. Those are your two responsibilities. So when we say, hey, we're dropping these shoes at 8 a.m., that doesn't mean show up the next day and ask if they're still here.
Right.
That's your fault. It's no longer our fault. But me and this guy got into this whole big old argument. So people, when you see something you want, or you think you see something you want, make an actual effort to get it in a decent amount of time. And if you don't, and it's not there, that's on you.
Huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. In that particular instance, are we talking about the cancer uniforms, the pink ones?
They cut off.
You can hear me? I can hear you.
Nope.
No?
You can hear me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can hear you.
I am. So you've been able to hear me this whole time?
Yep. So just keep talking and pretending like I'm
nice. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. I just kept going with it. It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think? And by the way, the Cardinals Saints game is 42-34 Cardinals with 43 seconds left in the fourth. Second and 11 on the New Orleans 49 for the Cardinals. That game got closer than I thought it would. But I'm missing that one. I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
It's whatever. So was it just for the cancer jerseys, for the pink jerseys? Is that what he was after?
Well, no, this actually was before they launched. He came in looking for just a green Ducks jersey.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, we had them in July, and they were here in July and August and early September, and then home games started, and we sold through them.
Yeah.
They were here for 2 months. Where were you?
That's on you.
Yeah, and whenever we stock them, we send them out. But he proceeded to get in this whole big argument about how, well, you don't understand how supply and demand works. And I'm like, well, we buy 100 jerseys. We sold 100 jerseys. I was like, we don't have any more to sell you. That's not on us. Nike didn't give us any more. We actually order like thousands, but they only send us like hundreds.
Right.
But it is what it is. But he kept trying to throw out this thing of a lost sale.
Yeah.
And that only applies if we have something to sell you that you want.
Right.
All right. That's the only way this matters. If we don't have it and that's the only thing you want from us, there is no sale. It doesn't exist. It's all fiction.
Right.
So
that's true.
It's a very grumpy guy in particular. But this launch that's happened with all the BCA stuff, it launched last Monday, and every day getting phone calls every single day. Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have any of those jerseys? Do you have any of those sweatshirts? Do you have any of the t-shirts? Like, no, we've sold all out. Well, how come you guys didn't get more? I was like, we brought in of the t-shirts. T-shirts are a great example. We brought in 700 t-shirts into our store. They were all gone in 4 days.
Yeah.
You had opportunities over those 4 days to come get them.
Right.
Where were you?
Right.
So, and we sent out emails, we did all this stuff. So your responsibility as a customer is to be on time.
Yeah, and
for certain things.
And you, yeah, just because they don't have it doesn't mean they don't want to have it. The store, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I would carry 1,000 more of each of those jerseys.
You could sell them in a heartbeat if you had them, but the availability is such that you need to talk to Nike, not to me. Because
I've said it 1,000 times to customers. Call your local Uncle Phil.
I'm not the one.
Find out why.
I'm not the one saying how many we get.
Yeah, I'm not holding these from you in the
right.
I feel like that's a thing that people think.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
all right. Oh, that's another thing. People will come up and grab an item and go, "Do you have this in yellow?"
Yeah.
And I'll go, "If I did, it'd be right there."
Right.
I'm not hiding the other colors from you.
Right.
I want you to have I want my job to be as easy as possible and all the things to be right there for you to touch.
Right.
So
I want you to buy it.
I want you to have this.
Right.
So I'm not keeping it from you. It's the same with jerseys.
I absolutely want you to have it. It makes her happy customers. If you have it and you get what you want, then you leave happy and the world's good. That's the reason we exist, is to provide you with something you want. But if we can't get it, then I can't do it, and that's not our fault.
Yeah, but the way the world's going, especially with the way Nike does things are being launched on fairly limited basis, and we communicate it to our customers.
Yeah.
When they're coming out. So at 8 a.m. or at 6 a.m., we sent an email blast saying, hey, launching online at 8 a.m. and in stores at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Some people were there to get them. Some people were not. And those people came a week later saying, hoping they could just walk in and find one, and then were upset when they couldn't.
Yeah, I get it.
So nowadays, if you want something unique like that, you kind of have to. And I know that Duck fans are spoiled. There was a point in time where they just always had jerseys.
Yeah.
You could go to any Duck store and there were just tons of them.
Yeah, 35 years ago.
Was it, 6 years ago?
You'd find them. You'd find them at TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
For $10. So,
yeah.
But not now.
Now you have to kind of work for it.
Yeah.
But also beyond this, people will come into the store and be like, "Hey, where are the Duck jerseys?" I'd be like, "Oh, there are none. We don't have any." But Nike.com has all of them in a full size run.
Right.
Well, I don't want to order it.
Well,
now this is This is still your problem.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with us.
Huh. Yeah, neither do I, but yeah.
I'm telling you where to get it. Either you want it or you don't.
Yeah.
So people get really grumpy about that sort of stuff, and I'm happy. I don't work there anymore. Today was my last day, or yesterday was my last day. So, but it was a very big complaint over the last 4 or 5 weeks is, why don't you have jerseys?
Yeah, it's always something. Well, I mean, that's just the way retail works. Customers are never happy. You can't please everyone. There's just no way, because there's always that guy or that girl. I don't want to be racist or sexist or whatever. So there's always that person who just says, how come you don't have what I want? I can't carry everything. I just can't. So.
Yeah, I mean, we do our best to stock with as much as possible. But early this year, we contacted Nike. We placed our orders.
Yeah.
And they canceled half of them. We ordered a black jersey and a white jersey for men. They canceled them both. So those are never coming.
Oh, really?
And then they canceled our yellow jersey. So then people were coming in going, well, I would like a jersey in yellow. I'm like, it doesn't exist. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I've seen them before. And I'm like, yeah, you saw them last year, but last year's last year. This is this year. Right. I was like, they didn't give them to us. So as far as we're concerned, it does not exist.
Gotcha.
So people just don't. People want what they want. They want it now. Amazon has made everyone a little instantly greedy.
Sure.
because you can find whatever you need. But by the same token, 5 years ago, you could just walk into any duck store and there was plenty of jersey options. So the supply chain got smashed. Nike started reassessing how they just stock items.
Right.
And they're stocking less of them as a general rule now. So
gotcha. So the Cardinals hung on to win 42-34. Just FYI.
Literally no one cares.
I don't. I mean,
they were winning. They were winning 20 minutes ago, and they're still winning. So, or then they won.
Yeah.
So,
despite being outscored 17-7 in the fourth quarter, they hung on to win. The three turnovers from Andy Dalton, from two pick sixes from Andy Dalton, are the difference in the game. So
big difference. Yeah,
it's huge. There's that, and then just a little update because I misspoke earlier. The next ALCS Game 3 is on Saturday, 2:07 p.m. on TBS. So Saturday afternoon in the middle of college football, that's what you're getting. And then Game 3 of the NLCS is tomorrow night, San Diego at Philadelphia. It's 4:37 p.m. And why do we start at 4:37 p.m.? Because the broadcast starts at 4:30, and we need 7 minutes to get you into it, apparently. That's on Fox Sports 1. So there's that. That's all we have. Just wanted to say that the Your Mother Thinks I Talk Too Much is brought to you by Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. The winery at the Vineyard, 3827 Fletcher Drive, open 7 days a week from 12 to 6 for indoor and patio dining. The downtown tasting room is open, and that's 208 Oak Street in Hood River. Is open from 12 to 6 Thursday through Sunday. You can call the downtown tasting room 541-490-9461, or you can call them at 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE750. Or you can email them. You can make a reservation, go taste for yourself. Email them info@stavenstone.com for more information. Stavenstone is the winner of 2 gold medals in the Sunset Magazine's 2022 International Wine Competition. So there you go. And none of these ads are paid for. We just do it out of the goodness of our heart. So maybe one of these days I'll have to have someone pay for an ad. It changes all the damn rules when you do that too, by the way, of podcasting and broadcasting stuff. But maybe one of these days we'll get famous, and then people will start paying us. That'd be a good thing. This is episode.
Fingers crossed.
This is episode 98, by the way.
Oh, just a couple more.
I know, but I don't even know. I don't have anything planned for 100. I don't even know. We're going to be in the middle of football. There's going to be so much to talk about anyway. You can't really do a 100th episode special, although we'll label it as such.
Yeah, we'll call it the 100th episode special.
Yeah, the century episode. And we'll have a countdown of our 100 greatest episodes. I'm just kidding. We want.
We'll rank all of our
episodes.
We'll
rank all of the episodes.
That sounds awful.
It does. It just sounds hideous.
That's so much work.
I know. It's gonna
have to go back to listen to them and make an opinion on each one.
It's gonna take us 100 episodes just to figure that out. We're on YouTube every week. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. And at this point in the show, normally there's music. I'm just saying.
And there it is.
There it is. Where was I? On Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. Or you can email us lambsports@gmail.com. I want to thank ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, ABC Sports, CBS Sports, the MLB, MLS, NFL, NCAA, NHL, Formula One, and of course our sponsors, the Range in Yakima, Bosquet Yarns, Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. We want to thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.